Hey, hey,
Yo,
hey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Episode 15, UnDR Podcast. Today we have a special guest in the building, the one and only Mr. Reggie Wilson. He's from St. Louis slash Southern Illinois. He's worked as a reporter in Dayton, Ohio. His career first started in Wichita, Kansas. Proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi, Mizzou alum. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the legend, Mr. Reggie Wilson. Thank you for doing this again, man.
What's up, y'all? It's good to be on. Appreciate y'all having me, man.
Yes, sir.
Ready to get into some talk here.
Yes, sir. But before we start, man, something that's kind of been heavy on my mind is the shooting that happened in Uvalde, Texas. I kind of wanted us to have a moment of silence just for those 19 students, 2 teachers that lost their lives.
Moments of silence.
And with that said, me and Drew were talking about this as we prepare for this episode. That's the clip you guys just kind of heard. I'll play it so everybody can see it. That's Steve Kerr going off on everything that's been going on, especially in Uvalde.
Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings, I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like. It's what we do every week. So I'm fed up. I've had enough. We're going to play the game tonight, but I want every person here, every person listening to this to think about your own child or grandchild or mother or father. Moments of silence. Enough.
So with that said, I'm kind of speechless. I think about my kids being put in that situation. I think about the warning signs. I think about, just the trauma that this city is going to be going through for the rest of their lives, man. And I don't know what to say. I don't have the solution, but I know what we're doing right now is not working. I can name 3 or 4 different cities that this has been happening in. And Reggie, I wanted you to weigh in, being a journalist yourself. What do you think about everything that happened, and how does it particularly weigh on you when you have to report on stories like this?
It's awful. As a journalist, we are always taught to report the story, not become the story. So there's no talking about this story while reporting on this story to be emotional, to cry. It just comes off insensitive to the people who are actually dealing with this senseless tragedy. We kind of have to refrain from giving too much of our opinions, because just saying something like, people's access to guns needs to be limited. Like, if I just said something like that, that almost becomes like a political issue. And this is not a one side of the aisle or the other conversation. When you're talking about these kids, when you're talking about, people, one of my favorite places to go is the grocery store.
Yeah.
And It took me a while. I had paused going to the grocery store a couple weeks ago. It was last week. And eventually I did go. But I was like, man, do I really need it? You know, I thought about doing Instacart. It was rough. It was rough. I finally did go. And because you just can't give in to fear. But it's tough, man. It's tough. It just makes you just wanna it feels helpless because there's nothing being done to stop what's going on, and it inevitably will happen again. And that-
1 second, brother.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I said I think your mic is clicking, Reggie. I don't know if you hear
I
that.
think it's hitting your zipper.
Oh, that's my
Yeah.
bad. Okay.
No, you
No,
good.
bro.
Want to make sure the people can hear what you're saying
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
let me
because you're definitely dropping some gems, man.
let me just come out of this. How about that? Okay. Hopefully that'll be better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you were saying?
So, like I said, one of my favorite places is going to the grocery store, and it gave me pause after what happened in Buffalo. And I eventually went, and it was all good. I've gone a couple times since then, and it's been fine. But I think what the tough part about this whole thing is different things that you just don't even really think about from day to day are now things that you're just like, wait a minute. And it's kind of scary, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have kids yet. And it makes you feel like, man, like, do you really want to bring some innocent lives into this world? I was just reading a post about this lady talking about how they were just at the school with their daughter, celebrating her being on all A honor roll, not knowing that would be goodbye, seeing her. And that stuff just kills you, man. It breaks your heart, man, because it leaves you speechless. As you said, Bola, it's not something that you ever get used to, but it's like it happens so much. Sometimes it makes other people feel like they're numb to it. And that's unfortunate.
And I think that's kind of what Steve Kerr was addressing. You know what I mean? And I appreciated him kind of saying that because that's kind of the thing. An incident happened a couple years ago here in Florida. And the thing that struck out to me was the news wanted to cover it like they were like, oh, on tonight's news, we're gonna live test bulletproof backpacks and their effectiveness. And they actually shooting the backpacks like on live air. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like the visual of seeing bullets rip through a backpack. Like who's trying to do, you know what I mean? It's just like this is where we at, and this is what we have to prepare for. And it's like I feel like that's a real dark place, and we still kind of in them times. In American history, you know what I mean? We've been through it. I mean, we still going through it, man. It's senseless violence. And I think I heard on MSNBC right before we did this that gun violence is now the #1 killer of kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, if that's true, then you already know, man. It's just, I just can't even believe that we are in this time, So
That sucks, man.
I hate to start the show off like this, so let's try to switch gears and make it a little bit more positive.
Definitely.
With that said, I'll start off with my first question for you, Reggie. We talked about all the bad aspects that you go through as a reporter. What's one thing or what's your favorite part about your job? What makes you get up out of the bed in the morning, and what do you look forward to?
I think it's just talking to people, like journalism is cool because, my wife likes to say it gives us a backstage pass to life. And it's one of those situations where you're just like, you get access to people that you normally wouldn't get access to. And you get to kind of get all up in their business. You know, you kind of get a chance to learn their stories and what makes them, what makes them tick. And that's a really cool part about it. Like, you know, I did a one-on-one interview with Cat, you know, and I got a chance to ask him about, you know, how's he doing? You know what I mean? Like, he lost his mom to COVID, and
Right.
that was just devastating for him, like early on in the pandemic too. And he's been trying to heal through that. And, you know, he wouldn't talk like that to some random person, you know, getting all up in his business, but like he respected that I had a job to do and that, you know, I was taking an interest into who he is and who he, you know, who his mom was to him and still is to him. And it was a really cool experience, like just kind of, you know, you spend so much time talking about these athletes and like what they do in their respective playing field. And the cool part is kind of getting to know them as people. I'm a people person. You know, that's that's what I'm gonna do first. Like get to know them as people, because you know, you can stat people to death. It's all about the stats, you know. Did he score, you know, he did 25 and 10 on a, you know, any given day, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And it's just like that stuff in the grand scheme of things is insignificant.
Yeah.
But like I'm trying to figure out who people are as people. And that excites me. That gives me a sense of pride. Like in my career, I get to, you know, let people know what makes a person them. And I get to talk to people and build relationships with people. And it's kind of an easy way in, like, oh, you're the dude from that, you know, TV station. We'll talk to you. And, you know, it's kind of like a cheat code in a way, but it's exciting to be able to do something like that.
Tell us a little bit more about how Superior Sports Talk started and all the Locked On pods, because I'm actually a Locked On Chiefs subscriber on
Yeah.
YouTube. So I know a little bit about, you know what I'm saying, what you got going on. So tell us a little bit more about that and how it came to be.
So I work for a station called Care 11, but our parent company is called Tegna. And Tegna bought Locked On Podcast last year. And so the CEO of Locked On, it was kind of hoping to test out some pilots for some different markets. And we already have like the Locked On Twins, Locked On Wolves, Locked On Vikings, you know, those different Locked On brands. But they wanted to try something that was a little different. They wanted to try something that, you know, kind of made a show out of it. And so he picked Cleveland, Atlanta, and Minneapolis as the pilot markets. And so we actually have two shows here. The show, he used to play in the NFL, play for the Golden Gophers, and he's a media and television personality here in the Twin Cities. And so they kind of like made that show to be something similar to like a Pat McAfee type of show. But then they also wanted another show to test out. And so they approached me, they sent me an email, you know, asking if I would be interested in doing a podcast. And that was something that I've always wanted to do, but just never really knew how to like get it started, get it off the ground. And they brought me like an executive producer and a producer, and they were like, hey, we want to try this out. And I was like, okay, cool. So one thing led to another. We struck an agreement to start this pilot, and we've been doing our show since April. So a little bit over a month now. Every day, like you said, it's called Superior Sports Talk, talking mostly about Minnesota sports, but we do branch out into other things. I know like today we talked about, the Mavs and Warriors game from last night. And we hit different, national hot topics. We talked about the whole Nick Sabin thing. And, we'll hit current events and sports news as well. But, it's mostly Minnesota sports. But it's a lot of fun. It's been cool to kind of get it started. I do it right in my living room. They sent all this equipment and set up all this equipment right in my living room at home. So I get up in the morning, do a little studying, and do the podcast. We anywhere from like 30 to 40 minutes every day, and get done with that and get started with my work day. So it's been fun.
That's awesome, man. And I'm glad you touched on that because I saw that and I'm like, man, this is awesome that we're bringing him on and he's doing this as well. So I'm sure he's going to have a lot of insight for us. But with that said, what's next for you, man? You got journalists under your belt, you got sports director, you got podcast host now. What's next in your career aspirations? Or have you gotten to the plateau and you're satisfied?
No, definitely not satisfied, man. I think the natural evolution of my career would be to do something that's kind of like a hybrid between like real sports with Brian Gumble mixed with like the Rich Eisen show,
Okay.
mixed with like one of my new favorite shows right now is Game Theory with Bomani Jones. Like that show is dope. Like it's like just about everything I thought to do in the show. And I just hate that he did it first. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, dang, man, like I wanted to do it, but that was something that I really thought was a great concept and a great idea. And they executed that well. And so I think a show that I would love to do combines a little hosting, a little commentary, some people interviews, and some storytelling. And all that you're gonna get in between, because I'm a little crazy, so you never know what's gonna come out of my mouth on any given day. I like to connect sports to something outside of the realm of sports,
Right.
like the larger concept or perspective, to try to draw people in that don't necessarily care about sports. And so, if you listen to me, you might get some pop culture references. You might get some music references, or just some crazy stuff, something I seen on a commercial I'll correlate. I'm always trying to think of outside of the box ways to do stuff. Like one day I was talking about how the weather delayed the Twins opener. We had snow on opening day, and I compared winter to an independent Black woman who don't need no man. And it was just like, the weather, just like the independent Black queen, does what she wants when she wants. And so she was gonna, do her thing. That meant that opening day had to wait for her. Like you had to push it back because you had to wait for the queen to do her thing first. And so, just goofy stuff. Yeah, just goofy stuff. But I think that would be what I'd like to do moving forward, just combining all those things into something. And, hopefully somebody giving me the platform to do it. I'd love to do something on HBO, or maybe, like Soledad O'Brien, who used to work for CNN. She started her own production company. And although she does do things, like she just did the Deshaun Watson accuser story on the HBO Real Sports, but she has her own production company that she creates her own stuff. So maybe my wife and I, create our own production company and just do something ourselves, produce our own content. So I'm really not sure. We'll see how the Lord leads, but I feel like the sky is the limit for, our aspirations for sure.
That's awesome, man. And I guess my follow-up to that is for somebody out there that's looking up to you, seeing everything great that you're doing, wondering how to get there, or even to yourself, if you go back, what advice would you give your younger self?
Ooh. I would say to stick with it.
Okay.
Persistence and perseverance is everything. Man, I've been knocked down so many times, but like I refuse to stay down. And that's a great mindset to have in life. Like
Preach.
I have been through
Hmm.
rejections. I've been through layoffs. I got laid off from my job in Dayton 2 months before my wedding.
Wow.
Like, yeah, like life has gotten real. I've been displaced from, my career a couple times. I've had to work multiple jobs while still pursuing my career because I still had to pay the bills. And a lot of people don't know
Preach.
that TV, as glamorous as it looks, it's not necessarily one of the most high paying jobs. Like, that there are people that work at fast food restaurants that get paid more than some reporters do. And people think that, because you work on TV and you look a certain way that, you're making a lot of money. When I was in Cincinnati, my literal direct job right before coming to Minneapolis to St. Paul, I worked in Cincinnati and I was making $31,000 a year
Oh,
in
wow.
my job as a weekend sports anchor in Cincinnati. And I also had a part-time job at Men's Warehouse
Wow.
because I wanted to just have a job at something that I thought that I would enjoy. And I enjoy men's fashion and suits. And of course, being on TV, often we have, suits that we wear. And so it was kind of a double benefit. I got, all these discounts on these suits that I would then wear on TV. And
Mm.
so
Part-time supporting the full-time. You already know.
exactly. And so, you know, but it was the grind. I was about to get a third job as an adjunct professor teaching journalism while I was in Cincinnati. So I was going to have three jobs in Cincinnati just to support, what I wanted to do, which was, television. And so, if I had to let some of the pitfalls and some of the shortcomings that I've experienced in my life leading up to this, I'll be 32 in August. And if I would have let some of the shortcomings in my 20s derail me or cause me to quit and pivot and do something different, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And you talk about the podcast and me being the sports director here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and all the cool opportunities that I get to do. I go to the grocery store and people are like, "Hey, aren't you the dude from TV?" And I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like it's people, when I go and MC events, people are lining up to take pictures with me. Like that's humbling, man. Like that's crazy because, just several years ago, people didn't necessarily even care who I was. You know what I mean? Like, um, and it's not, the vanity of it for me, but like it's the impact that I'm having now that God has placed me in a position to impact on a larger scale and to impact lives and really inspire people. And if I would
Absolutely.
have let some of the shortcomings of my 20s stop me, I wouldn't be here. And I wouldn't be able to, even spread this message to y'all right now. Who knows where I would be
Yeah.
right now? I wouldn't be able to do some of the things that I'm now blessed to be able to do. And I truly think that, all the things that I went through were things to help other people, to show other people that, hey, this is the type of thing that you can achieve if you don't give up. And I've not given up. I refuse to give up because I've seen that there are blessings on the other side of the shortcomings.
Well, when he do it?
But
Yes, he will, my brother.
would you say that you would call yourself an underdog?
Absolutely. I've
All
been an
right.
underdog for a long time. I
Well,
lost my
cool. Let me
dad when
fit
I
in.
was, yeah, I lost my dad when I was 13 years old, so,
Sorry to hear
I
that,
had,
brother.
I've had odds stacked against me for a long time. And so, but it took me a long time to stop internalizing, that chip on my shoulder and just overcoming that chip and just doing work, just putting the necessary effort in to get to where my dreams and goals and ambitions were eventually going to lead me to. And it's funny, on the Underdog podcast, I do feel like I'm an underdog, and you know I'm 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 that underdog success story in the making right now, I would say.
Cool, cool. Well, we're gonna get right into it.
I like how you said that.
Yeah, right. We like how you said that because we had another question, but you answered that question. You are the underdog, brother. We heard you. Yeah, bro, we'll get right into it. Go ahead, Bolo.
Moments of silence.
That video keep playing 1 second.
Oh, that's it, boy. That's Steve Kerr. He want to be heard.
He does, man.
I mean, it's a serious topic, but yeah. Oh,
This is
man.
a case of okay.
Dirty
Oh
Mackin
man.
Yeah. Talking
on
about
a
Nick Saban.
national scale. Like, he's like, hey baby, look, don't you want to come play with me? Cause I mean, look, he don't treat you right. He's a womanizer. You know, he don't even believe in monogamy, girl. Like, you come over here and baby, we can do some things. I'm talking about wedding ring. I'm talking about, you know, national championship ring. We can win trophies together, baby. Why would you want to go over there? Why would you want to go over there with them? You know, he was just cussing out his mama last night. He don't even respect women. Come on, baby. Here you are.
Oh man, that was great, man.
Yeah, that brings us to the first topic, man. Nick Saban, if y'all don't know what's going on in college football right now, Nick Saban is been having a very voiced opinion about name, image, and likeness players. Obviously, being a former employee of EA Sports, you know, I got my opinion about the NIL situation, but we're here to talk about Nick Saban's.
I know the consequence is going to be difficult for the people who are spending tons of money to get players. And you've read about them, you know who they are. I mean, we were second in recruiting last year, A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team, made a deal for name, image, and likeness. All right, we didn't buy one player. All right, but I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future because more and more people are doing it. Yeah. So it's tough, and people blame the NCAA. But in defense of the NCAA, we are where we are, all right, because of the litigation that the NCAA gets, like the transfer portal.
Sheesh.
And we're also, like Reggie, here to talk about the clapback. We have a little bit of clapback from Jimbo Fisher, the head coach of Texas A&M. So we can go ahead and let people know how other people are feeling about Mr. Saban.
Alabama?
Yes, I would. First of all, I'll say it's a shame that we have to do this. It's really despicable. It's despicable that somebody can say things about somebody and an organization. More importantly, 17-year-old kids. You're taking shots at 17-year-old kids and their families. That they broke state laws. They're all money. We bought every player on this group. We never bought anybody. No rules were broken. Nothing was done wrong. It was all and the way we do things, the ethics in which we do things. And these families, it's despicable that a reputable head coach could come out and say this when he doesn't get his way or things don't go his way. The narcissist in him doesn't allow those things to happen, and it's ridiculous. But when he's not on top, and the parity in college football he's been talking about, go talk to coaches who coach for him. You'll find out all the parity. Go dig into wherever he's been. You can find out anything, and it's a
Spicy.
He keeps going, man. We'll just play that little clip right now.
Shout out to Bleacher Report for that clip. Shout out to Alabama's YouTube page for the other one. You know what I'm saying? Keeping it clipped up.
Oh, and shout out to Complex Sports as well.
Also, me personally, man, you know, I'm not an extremist. I'm not going to sit up here and call professional sports or collegiate sports, you know, modern day slavery or something. But obviously there's been a change in the shift of power and control. And it kind of seems that like all the coaches or the traditional people in power are just a little bit upset. This is obviously going to be a student by student basis also that we're talking about. I don't like to blanket organizations because of, you know, single situations. There's hundreds of players. So, but they did get a little bit into like the scholarship situation about how there is only a certain amount of scholarship athletes per university, per sport, per whatever. And some of that stuff keeps stuff in play. But I mean, this stuff's been going on for years. I agree with our guest as far as it be dirty macking. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's really just, you know, oh, we doing what we doing, but then the light come on and it'd be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
what y'all doing in there? Like he wasn't
Mm-hmm.
trying to slide. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
it really is. And it's just a shame because I do think that it does, like JJ Redick said, my new favorite analyst, he done came out the woodwork. With it's just control, man. Control. It's just they can't do what they used to, so they just have a little hissy fit. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nick Saban has been dominating for I don't know how long, man.
Long time.
And to be going at somebody because now all of a sudden other people are figuring out how to do it themselves and you pointing the finger at them, it's just wrong, man. I lost a little bit of respect for him after that.
And you look at it and you think about how he bailed on the Dolphins after
Yeah.
you know, going there for, you know, I think it wasn't even a full season. And he left there to go to Alabama. And so many people came out and talked about how much of a mess that it was when he was in Miami coaching the Dolphins, and how, you know, it's a different beast, man. You see guys like Urban Meyer and how much he failed as a head coach with the Jaguars. Like, these control freak college coaches try to go to the NFL and try to, you know, do the same stuff that they do to the college kids, and it just doesn't work out. And so he ended up going to Alabama, building a bully, and they've been dominant for like the whole time that he's been there. They've been relevant every year. College football playoff every year that they've had it, except for 1 year, I believe. And it's just so funny, man, when you try to start tipping the scales in, you know, in the favor of some other schools and some other teams. It's kind of crazy how all of a sudden you got a problem with it when, you know, there was no problem in how, you know, you guys were recruiting the best athletes. You know, it's like it was only a problem when it started affecting you.
Mm.
Because several years before the NIL thing happened, you're just like, look, we're Alabama. We got the name. I'm sorry. We can't control if kids just want to come play for us. I mean, it is what it is. Get in where you fit in. And now people are getting in where they fit in, and people are, you know, Nick Saban is just like, well, wait a minute. Let's really just kind of look at this. Can we look at this? And it's just like, nah, bro, it don't work like that.
Yeah, well, more things change than don't, so Nick Saban better get with it. Next thing probably will be very vital, and especially with the situation with the league is right now. Josh Donaldson of the New York Yankees calling Tim Anderson Jackie, as in Robinson, and received a 1-game suspension, which he is trying to appeal. Right when we was about to prepare for this, I had a chance to YouTube popped up a segment on The Right Time with Bomani Jones, and he was actually interviewing Tim Anderson for about 40 minutes about it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of crazy to me because apparently Donaldson came out and tried to say that this was a inside joke because apparently, oh yeah, we got a little bit of
I
that.
got a little bit of it.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Abracadabra.
interrupt you, but I was curious. Like, what were you thinking when you heard him do the post game and say that it was an inside joke? Because I think one of your teammates made the point that I was thinking, which is inside jokes are normally between friends.
Right. Yeah, that was a joke. You know what I mean? So we don't have no relationship to, you know, to be able to have an inside joke. Never look for a relationship, never look for a friendship, never look for anything, you know, besides just competing against you. You know, we never really had a conversation, you know, at all. And, you know, really wasn't looking for it, especially after 19. You know, I told him that, you know, we ain't never got to talk. I ain't never got to talk to you. And let's just keep it at that. You never said anything to me before then, so don't say nothing to me now.
You heard him. Hey, Tim Anderson, a real one. Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Now he in Chicago. He a real one. I like him, even though he's on the White Sox. Don't tell the Royals fans I
That's
said
how
that.
you feel, bro?
Don't tell the Royals fans I said that. But yes, I like Tim Anderson, man. He a real one. He representing for us still in the league. And, you know, as the numbers dwindle, I think that stuff like this do need to be highlighted. It's a shame, like what goes on. And with the anniversary of Jackie Robinson being just last month, It's just kind of crazy how like inside joke, you ain't inside with us, bro. Like you ain't inside with us. So what is you joking about, bro? That ain't funny. You know what I'm saying? Because like I'm from Kansas City. The American Negro League Museum is in my city. You know what I'm saying? My father has vended at Kauffman Stadium since the 70s, bro. Like I don't play, you know what I'm saying? So like the baseball racism stuff is different. You know what I'm saying? They separated us. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can play, but y'all got to play amongst yourselves. With all that stuff going on, 42 being retired on every team, bro. You know better than that. So just to me, it's what, like he said, man, watch your mouth, bro. Like we just not playing that. You know what I mean? I feel like that's respectable. You know what I'm saying? That he did it in a more professional manner than I would have or did just now. You know what I mean? But that stuff, yeah, get nipped in the butt. Play the game. You know what I'm saying? Play the game.
And I think they always try to control the narrative a little bit because it's easy to just be like, well, it's an inside joke. Y'all making a big deal about this. And it's always Black folks making a big deal about something that's personal to them. So I'm glad that Bomani interviewed him to get his perspective outside of the story being reported.
Well, it's interesting too, because I cover a team that's in the same division as the White Sox, the Twins, and so it's just interesting too. Well, I know, but it's just interesting because like at no point and in no world is saying that okay, like even if it was an inside joke, like that's not anything to be joking about. Like that's not like no, there's no context that you can give to make him saying that okay. And it's just so interesting because Josh Donaldson, the last couple of years played here in Minnesota for the
Right.
Twins.
And he said he ain't say nothing to him. That's what Tim
Yeah,
Anderson said. He said he ain't say nothing to me when he was a twin.
yeah. And so it's funny because they traded Donaldson to the Yankees for Gary Sanchez. And the players hadn't said it like outright, but they talked about how the locker room is better. They talked about how the team chemistry and the vibe is better. And it's no secret that, Josh Donaldson was kind of known as a toxic personality here in Minnesota for a lot of different reasons. And he was a very polarizing figure in that Twins clubhouse and organization. And so I think getting him shipped to New York, the Yankees already kind of have that air about them where, they got those personalities that are not necessarily the most likable. And he just kind of added to that. And so it's just so interesting that he already doesn't have the best reputation. And so when he said that, it wasn't a thing where people were just like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Why would he do that? It was just like, oh, this is Josh Donaldson. Like, I can believe that.
So well, we ain't gonna waste no time on anybody who's still trying to raise their hand, like, hey, I'm racist in 2022. And I mean, I'm not even saying because racism comes from a position of power. I don't think that somebody like that has power over, just everybody, but it's really just prejudice or ignorance. But you know what I'm saying? It comes from the history of that. So just, hopefully he can get his thing together. One game, though, and 162 games, bro. I feel like, bro, to get 4 games, like make it matter, make it be a whole series.
But that shows you how much they don't care about the issues, that affect, I hate to say, Black folks.
Yeah, bro.
They slapped them. That's literally less than a slap on the wrist.
1 game in 160. Like, come on, bro.
I digress, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of
talk about
history,
something more important.
Speaking of history, Dwayne Haskins. I think you wrote down, Drew, that the drug test came back, a lot samples
Yeah,
came
they
back.
did. I don't know if it was like a biopsy or whatever, but they got 2 samples, 2 different samples, because the first one came back past the limit and the second one did too. So he was under the influence of at least alcohol at the time.
I mean, when I heard the story, I thought to myself, no Black man in the same mind would be walking on the highway to go get gas, and not be watching around, making sure nobody, nothing hits him. I knew there was more to it, but man.
I mean, it's like I said, it's a developing story. It's just one that we've covered on here before, and I want to make sure that what I'm saying, people know that we try to keep an eye on them things. So as stuff gets told, I'll try to bring it up. But once again, just rest in peace to the brother, man. It's just
Yeah.
crazy how stuff happens. The rest of these topics, we're gonna blow through pretty quick. Me being a Heat fan and Bola being a Warriors fan, we kind of been covering the East and Western Conference separately. So right now, obviously, my Heat is in a dogfight. I tried not to have a game on so I wasn't distracted. So that's how my dedication to this. But since our last episode, we only do weekly. Celtics game 2, hot streak. They made 23s. They've done that like 3 times in the playoffs. Teams are now 17-1 when making 23s and shooting over 50% in the history of basketball, 17-1. So of course they win that game. Game 3, Bam Adebayo went Bam Bam Bigelow instead of Bam Adebayo.
My Nigerian brother.
Yeah, bro. He has been a little passive in games, but game 3, he actually took the most once Jimmy left with the knee soreness and had the 8 points. Bam actually shot for the most time in his career. And when in 2020, when we beat him in the Eastern Conference Finals the last time, he averaged 21 and 11. He's been averaging 14 and 7 through this series, and we need more of Bam Bam Bigelow. Put him through tables, be a hothead. You know what I'm saying? He got to be more aggressive. Hopefully he's doing that downstairs. And as far as game 4, the 18 starter points were the worst since they started keeping track of that stuff, 1970, 71. Like I said, man.
A lot of he held y'all down, man. My other Nigerian brother.
Look, man, I'll tell you this. The scores, look, for him to go from that game to only taking 5 shots, you know what I'm saying? To have the most in his career to then 5. Nah, I know Robert Williams is a beast, but he's got to step it up.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can hear us battling downstairs. I know we was leading after the first quarter. Other than that, I'll pass it to my brother for that little Western Conference update.
Western Conference, man. I got nothing to say about the Warriors going to sweep. I'm half the games. I'm not even watching the whole thing.
Well, too bad.
That's how confident I am.
Too bad. The sweep was ruined. Like I told you, my large adult Slovenian cousin twice removed, Luka Doncic. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Nick Wright. Luka Doncic came through and Reggie.
But
Bullock,
you know what happened that game, man? Steve Kerr put in all them rookies for like 15 minutes, 25 minutes. Sorry, excuse me.
As far as I'm concerned, they lost the game. So now only 100 out of 146 teams has been down 3-0 in the playoffs. None of them have ever won. But since they won game 4, now 56 teams. So 90 of those 146 teams, they couldn't win game 4. That's why they got swept. So they don't want game 4. So now you got a chance
for a gentleman's sweep. A chance for a gentleman's sweep. It's all right.
Yeah, we ain't worried about it. We try to have it. Only 3 teams in the history of basketball have been down 3-0 and pushed it to game 7. I don't know if these Mavericks can do it, but I hope they do because I think it'd be exciting to watch. And that's been the one thing about
not gonna happen.
Warriors, bro. They gotta be able to, you know what I'm saying, withstand it. Jalen Brunson, they try to step up.
Reggie, you said you guys were discussing the Warriors and Mavs on your podcast. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep as well. I just think the Warriors are way too strong. And one thing that we saw in that game last night was the Mavericks was just hitting shots. Like
all of them.
Nothing was really different about the game plan, it looked like. Nothing was really different about anything from them from game to game in this series other than the fact that they were just making shots. Reggie Bullock went 0 for 10 in game 3. Game 4, he was knocking shots down. Spencer Dinwiddie knocking shots down. Like, you know, they finally gave Luka some help. You know, Luka's gonna ball regardless. Right. They finally gave Luka some help, and they kind of just overtook the Warriors like that. I think the Warriors were probably playing with a little bit of emotion as well, you know, with everything that happened, and you know, maybe their focus just wasn't necessarily there like it should have been. And look, the Mavs are also a professional basketball team. So you just, you know, can't just show up and expect to sweep them, especially seeing what they did to the Suns in that last round. Like they beat the Suns down. And it's just funny because all the shooting that you saw in that Suns series, you didn't see that in the first 3 games against Warriors. And all of a sudden it was back. And it makes you feel like maybe the Suns can make some noise, but it's just kind of hard to make some noise after you're already down 3 games. And so I think, you know, the Warriors are going to go home, finish the job, and rest up to see who plays the Eastern Conference team, because I think I think that series is going 7.
I think that series is going 7 too. I think the Celtics are going to make it. I love the Heat, but Jason Tatum is just doing his thing, man. I can't. The man from St. Louis is giving us a show to watch, man. I just got to put it out there. He ended up. You said what?
I'm a Duke fan. I'm conflicted.
Dang.
Yeah, it's bad.
You
over
all
here.
over the map with your fan.
And my roommate is a Celtics fan, and my business partner is a Celtics fan. It's crazy, bro. We don't know how to go down. I don't like the Lakers. They trash. I'm an old Kings fan though. But we do have to talk about something because we touched about it on a previous episode. Juwan Howard rejects the Lakers' offer to be the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first dude to pass on LeBron? And is this crazy that a dude who was literally just slapping other coaches in March Madness is now being offered the coaching job and turning it down?
Well, he did coach or kind of coach LeBron in Miami. And so, there's a history there. But he's not the first one to turn LeBron down. If you remember, Ty Lue turned that job down last, what was it, 2 years ago, before they hired Frank Vogel. They were looking at, other coaches for that job. And it wasn't necessarily an appealing job back then because, they gutted the team and LeBron was there and you really weren't sure what was going to happen. And sure enough, Frank Vogel gets the job and they go to the finals and they win it. But it's interesting, man, because the Lakers are kind of at a crossroads, and I am a Lakers fan, shamelessly. I'm a Lakers fan, but I think they kind of have, I don't know, they got some good candidates. I know they were talking about Darvin Ham and Terry Stotts, and I think Terry Stotts did a good job when he was in Portland. I think he's a great offensive-minded coach, but he just kind of plateaued because that Trailblazers team they had a ceiling, and they reached it. But I think he would be a good replacement. Yeah, I think he would be a good replacement for Vogel. But, it's interesting to see them kind of spin their wheels. There was talk that they were going after Doc if the 76ers didn't retain him. And so I don't think they know what they want to do. I think they just want somebody to come in and coach these last years of LeBron and try to get the most out of that team. But they need AD to stay healthy, and they need to figure out what to do with Westbrook as well if they're going to, figure out their success moving forward in these last good years of LeBron.
I think they need a player like Mark Jackson. I think Juwan Howard turned that job down because he's coaching his boys in Michigan. I learned that he got 2 boys on the team. And I don't think no father would pass up an opportunity to coach.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
LeBron, you cool, but nah.
Love you,
want to play with Bronny, but I'm not supposed to coach my kids.
Right? Yeah. For a job that I might end up losing
Bronny, but I can't coach my son.
No.
Yeah.
So I think he turned it down ultimately because of that.
Yeah. Well, then that ultimately makes sense. Okay, no problem. Good job, Juwan. And I like that heat. I like that little heat fact. All right. Now to our beloved segment here on the Underdog Podcast. Take them to church, man. We do it for the culture and for the correction of what we do, man. As you know, a lot of these first off, we got to talk about these sponsors. Let's pay these bills. Gold Standard Farms, Martin, Tennessee, been serving since 1941. You already know. They want you to know who they are. Gold Standard Farms LLC is a boutique hemp farm specializing in organic hemp cultivation, seed genetics, R&D, and eco-friendly hemp-based materials. Gold Farms. If you need anything, contact Carson Owens. Bola, hit him with the address.
Carson Owens at goldstandardfarms.com.
You already know. Take them to church for the culture and for what we do, man. They be out here messing up, man. Irresponsible journalism. And this week, brother Kendrick Perkins.
Oh man.
Please step up so the congregation can hear your opinion about what would winning a 4th title and finals MVP do for Steph Curry's legacy.
hey, Dan, JJ, I need y'all to keep a cool booty on this one and listen to what the hell I'm about to
Not
say,
a cool
okay?
booty.
When it comes down to Steph Curry, if he goes on to win another championship along with a Finals MVP, one is going to put him in the top 10 conversation of greatest player of all time. Two is going to move him as the #1 point guard to ever play the game. And think about this. I want you to think about this. Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Wilt Chamberlain are the only players in NBA history to win multiple championships, multiple scoring titles, and multiple MVPs. Steph Curry will imprint and be now on NBA Mount Rushmore. When you think about a generation of talent that has changed the game forever at a point guard position, he made shots that will put you on the bench cool again. And think about this. His 3 championships, who were they won against? LeBron James. And
Man, he's preaching gospel, if you ask me, man.
Look, man.
Nothing wrong with that, bro.
Look, I know about you a traveling deacon for Brother Perkins. We know that. But what I will say is this, is even if you just simply sit up here and compare the ifs, if he gets the first off, it will be his first Finals MVP because of your brother, our brother, Nigerian brother, Andre
Iguodala.
Iguodala. You
Hey,
already
go
know.
ahead.
And then Kevin Durant, whenever he wanted to come over to Team Super Team. So, and then even if he did win, that would be 4 championships. Magic still got 5. This man has 3 Finals MVPs, 3 MVPs, 12-time All-Star, like 9-time All-NBA first team.
But he's
Like,
the reason they're shooting threes from 30.
Bro, 4-time all-time. It just, even if you sit, you can't. That's magic, bro. People didn't want to guard Steph because he can sizzle. People didn't want to guard Magic because they thought he was sick and they were ignorant about the disease, bro. There was people who didn't even want to play with, like, come on, bro. This Magic Johnson. And I don't even like the Lakers. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? You can't have, he's the best point guard. Like, he's the best point guard all time. I don't think anybody, if they doing an all-time starting 5, is going to not pick Magic. Now, I'll say that it gains his position. Yes, of course. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter we've ever seen. Now that he done broke all the records. I was holding off. But now, and it's just like, no, Kendrick Perkins. I'm in the booth. We in the aisle. The usher done walked past with the plate. I done smacked him, woke him up. He got to grab the hymnal, and he got to lead the congregation the song because he ain't paying attention. So we got to take him to church.
Okay.
I'm sorry, bro. That's magic.
I hear you. Take him to church. Did you want to touch on the boxing stuff real quick?
Oh, yeah, let's do that real quick. I want to start promoting some of the little things that we really don't promote. Boxing is not dead. Shakur, I forgot his name that quick.
Stevenson.
He's fighting this weekend, but we have good boxers still out here. Bud Crawford, Tyson Fury is still good. Canelo is still good. We got the Canelo Triple G trilogy fight that's about to come out. And also, Nico Ali Walsh, Muhammad Ali's grandson, done went pro. I've been saving this one. He won his first by decision. The next game, or the next fight, he got his first knockdown. The fight after that, he got his first knockout. So please look out for this brother. He out here doing his thing. And also, my underdog, who will always be the underdog, because he's probably playing maybe the only thing in this country that's more segregated than baseball, NASCAR racing. Go, Bubba. The Coca-Cola 600 this weekend. And I want you to do well. Go, Bubba. You already know, driving for Jordan now.
And one last thing that came up right before we was about to do the show, I'll touch on it by just sharing the screen real quick. Not sure how true this is, but there's a possibility that Colin Kaepernick will be getting a tryout with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh yeah, that's happening. That's happening.
I'm excited, man. I was really saddened by what happened to him. I still think it's a crime that somebody needs to be punished for, but hopefully he gets another shot.
I heard rumors that the Chiefs was going to get him to possibly be a Mahomes fill-in. So to hear that he's going to the Death Star is not what I'm trying to hear. Happy for the player, terrible for the situation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He definitely deserves to be in the league. I don't think I don't know, man. I don't think that there's 30 2 quarterbacks better than him, and I damn sure don't think there's 64. So I don't think that he needs to be on somebody's roster. You know what I mean? Even if you got 32 more game ready just because of the absence, it's like, how do you not have him? You know what I'm saying? We got Chad Henne. If you throw Colin Kaepernick in the back, I'm not mad about that. I don't think anybody would be mad about having Colin Kaepernick in the tuck.
I hear you on that. Chicago's praying.
Yeah, if Chicago, if they had
Come on
Justin Fields,
now,
Colin
man.
Kaepernick, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? If you had Dak Prescott, Colin Kaepernick, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool. So good for him. And if it's true, it's the Raiders. So, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, the Raiders gonna raid the AFC Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? If they're gonna find a way to mess it up, they will. So let's hope they don't mess it up.
Well, with that said, we always have a segment before we leave. Well, I just realized we didn't even ask you who your underdog is sports-wise.
He
I
said
know
it
you
was
said
him.
he
said
said
it was
himself, but I want to know who he considers as the underdog.
Oh, okay.
Watching the game of sports right now. Who
My
embodies it?
underdog.
Yes.
Wow, that's a good question. Man, my underdog in sports. You know, just coming off the top of my head right now, and this is not just because we got the same name, but Reggie Jackson.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you
He's
that.
gone to the Clippers and balled
Oh,
out.
yeah.
And people
Yeah, man.
just, they wrote him off. And not only, is he starting, but he's balling. They went out without Kawhi in the playoffs. And then, Tyrone Lue. I would say Tyrone Lue as well, even though he has a championship
Claxton,
already
Missouri.
Shout out to
with
Mexico,
LeBron.
man.
But like
Mhm.
that duo, man, they are underdogs together. Like that's amazing what they've been able to do, especially this year. They hadn't had Kawhi since the playoffs last year when he went down with the torn ACL. So like that's impressive. Getting the most out of Reggie Jackson and Tyrone Lue coaching his tail off without one of his absolute superstars.
I think he was in contention for Coach of the Year. I know Monty got it again,
Mhm.
but I'm pretty sure he was in contention. Probably, you know what I'm saying, could have deserved it. He's definitely one of my favorite players and still my favorite step over victim of all time. So,
Well, with that said, man, we want to thank you for showing up today. We
Yeah, bro. Thank you,
appreciate your
brother.
presence.
Appreciate you guys.
If there's any time you want to come back, you are more than welcome.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, fellas. It was fun.
Yes, sir. Now end with the music.
And I know that get both, like the Baba Frayo, my ayo, don't cry, yo.
My favorite Afro beat. That's my favorite Afro beat. Burna Boy with the top.
Hey, shout out to Burna Boy.
Album dropping July 2022.
Let's go Heat. Oh my God.